Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. Welcome everyone to the Week in Italian Startups, where Niccolò and we take a big dip into startup land and what is happening in Italy. So welcome, Nick.
Ciao, Jack. Hello, everybody.
All right, let's start with one of the biggest round of the week involving actually Primo Ventures. Nick, what has been going on? So the space economy is going really well. Apogeo Space, startup developing constellation of microsatellite, raising 5 million euro from Primo Ventures. Tell us.
Yeah. This is a deal completed by the Primo Space team. So this is a good occasion to remind that I'm part of the digital team, so I know almost zero about what's going on in the other part of the building. But from the news, this is the biggest round yet in this startup, Apogeo Space, a fully Italian venture building a nanosatellite constellation. Quite an extremely fascinating project, as you probably can imagine. So launching very small satellites in this case for lower orbit type of missions. Don't ask me too much about that because I don't know the difference between the different type of satellites and different type of orbits. But still.
Yeah, I mean, I love this because the play is pretty much data collection. So the purpose of this basically they are launched in packs of 9, from what I was reading, and essentially they're collecting a lot of data from Earth, mostly focused a lot on agriculture. I would say wildlife, like data, and anything that can actually be tracked from a low orbit. So that's pretty impressive, actually.
It's a fully Italian startup. So
full Italian, very interesting, awesome. All right, moving on. Actually, let's stick with the 5 million kind of range, and let's talk about Italy Group, inbound travel operator dedicated to experiential tourism, raising 5.5 million from CDP. So essentially, they have been aggregating 3 different brands, mostly from Tuscany, that are trying to actually nail everything which is like travel experiences, especially in Florence and around Florence. So it's an aggregation play. It's very digital. I mean, there are 3 basically different platforms for booking, and they're congregating in one macro group for trips in Tuscany.
Yep, this is actually, I believe that the platform among the 3 is Italy XP. That's not based out of Tuscany, but it's in the southern of Italy. It's from the south of Italy.
Okay.
And as a matter of fact, the main investor is CDP Fondo Sud, the South Fund. And CDP is not the only investor, to be fair. Another holding participated to the round, SMP Holding.
Okay.
Which I don't know much about them. But this is a sizable round for experiential tourism inbound in Italy. So it's probably a good play to play exactly now, exactly here, in order to try to capture the hopefully rebounding wave of inbound tourism to Italy.
Totally agree. Yeah, the post-COVID rebound that is actually opening up. So it's good. It's definitely a good move. Very promising for sure for them. Very interesting. All right, moving on. $2 million raised for Bevy, soft drinks delivery startup. Basically, they're like, I was like a little bit sort of not excited because okay, so people have been delivering drinks forever. But how they're disrupting it, it's not only that it's digitally, native, but it's also same day. So it's same day drinks delivery, apparently within 3 hours for certain location. So that's pretty interesting. And the raise is not small. So I thought it was particularly interesting to talk about that.
Yep. At the beginning, it surprised me in terms of business model because let's say that water has a very low value per kilo in terms of how much money you can get from delivering 1 kilo of water. So I always wonder about sustainability. But on the other hand, consumption of water is pretty high. It's at least a couple of bottles per family per day.
Yeah.
There is consumption, even though there is lower value per kilo of the item.
Yeah.
And if they can nail logistics, it's probably an interesting business to be in. Logistics is key, as you said.
And my feel is water is really like it's perfect for subscription based. Like how often do you actually change water for the sake of it? Is almost never. It's just a burden to carry it home. So it's definitely a good play. I don't know about beers or wine, depending on your habits, Nick. So I don't know, but water is definitely something that can be helpful, even in terms of saving plastic, because it's a huge problem for sure. So having a more effective way to do so, it's definitely valuable.
Yeah, and there's a contrarian view in what they are doing actually, because if you have the opportunity to take a look at many of the other delivery companies that are doing other food and stuff, usually they limit the amount of water that you can purchase on the platform per single order.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Cortilla, for example, is limited to 2 boxes of water per order.
Interesting. Wow.
Interesting. Yeah, because the value per probably not kilo, but in this case, the volumetric value is quite low. So if you deliver too much water, there will be not enough room in the van for the rest. This is absolutely contrarian approach.
Yeah.
You start from water.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That's an awesome point. Fantastic.
Take a look. Notice that sometimes the other delivery grocery platform will limit the amount of water that you can purchase per single order.
Interesting. All right.
At 2 million rounds.
Yeah. Not small at all.
Small one.
Yeah.
And the lead investor is FoodLabs.
FoodLabs, yes, indeed. Yeah, with some mega angels, I would say. The founder of Poke House. We talked about Poke House many times. Not your typical startups, but definitely a very good brand business that has been exploding. So yeah, for sure, definitely like. I don't know if there is like some form of cooperation between the two in some ways, but definitely it's an interesting space. And a very strategic investor for sure. Interesting.
Absolutely. So someone that probably knows the problem pretty well.
Yeah.
And FoodLabs is a German investor, German accelerator / vertical investor in the food space. With a pretty interesting portfolio if you take a look.
Yeah, I'm like looking at it. So we have here some agricultural product. Well, gorillas. We don't want to touch that topic right now. I think
it's a hot topic.
It's two super hot topics. I don't know what is going on. Yeah, my other question would be like, given gorillas, it's the first thing that came into mind. Thinking about like delivery, same day delivery, and we know that it's a struggle now. So let's see how it unfolds. And then, more sort of healthcare, a little bit of like consumer healthcare, mushrooms. Mushroom is a big trend in the food space. So glad these guys, FoodLabs, are looking at it, both in terms of product and health benefits. So it's coming. It's definitely coming.
It's one of your verticals, so you are the expert there.
Yeah, I mean, I like experiment with food, so yeah, definitely it's something interesting. Awesome. Talking about food, but this time like pet food. Let's talk about how you Hygge. How do you pronounce it? I don't know how you pronounce it, to be honest with you.
Don't know, even though given that it's somehow inspired by Scandinavia, I thought about Hygge.
Hygge, okay, let's call it Hygge. And very interesting business model. It's been there are companies developing the same kind of using the same kind of approach, which is essentially boxed meal specific for dogs on a subscription model. And a lot of companies are playing different angles. Some companies are playing more the health sort of aspect. Some companies are playing more sort of the best nutrition for the size of your dog. Some are more advanced in terms of onboarding your dog and really catering the dog to the best of their needs. Yannick, I've been doing some research, as you can tell, of course, but on this space we've seen some stuff, and it's an interesting market for sure. They're using more the sort of the dry food approach. Some people are using even the fresh food approach, similar to what's happening actually with human consumption. And I thought it was interesting. So essentially the raise is not small. It's 300K from Prana Ventures and a few business angel. I thought it was cool that Prana was also involved. Prana has been basically launched relatively recent, their latest fund, and they've been allocating, and they've been very good in terms of product, I would say. So they're like really picking a lot of interesting plays. And that's of course CDP also is part of the round.
No, I'm not of Hygge's round. That's part of all the news.
Yes.
The article makes there's a little bit of mix and match. I would say that Prana is announcing one deal per month currently.
Oh wow! Okay.
If you think about it, Be Safe Rate, then the other one on Ariel on AR, and Hygge. So they have been working hard, that's for sure. Lisa is a friend, and she's very good, and I know she's been hunting for this for quite a while now. So she's probably going to announce a few more in the next few months.
Beautiful.
And they are doing this type of deals, so smaller tickets with respect to the average that we are seeing currently, so up to $500,000, but in very specific and vertical startups with very clear business models. I know that they're looking for this specificity and the possibility to support them.
Yeah.
Do you have dogs? Do you have any dogs?
Sorry?
Do you have any dog?
Yes,
Jack?
of course. But we treat her like the usual countryside way. We cook for her and then we feed her on demand. It's subscription is a bit far, but yeah, I can see that working actually for especially for urban areas where you don't have the possibility to maybe spend so much time like maybe cooking, or you don't want to. That's good. Yeah,
I have time to cook for myself.
Yeah, no, totally.
So, let alone the dog. Nice.
Awesome. One last thing that I think pops is the fact that they're announcing also using insect flour on the dry food for dogs. So again, Hygge is really playing the recipe angle where they want to do like specific product, very like novel and with a lot of innovation in it. So I thought it was particularly interesting for that.
But let me ask you a question. From the point of view of source of proteins, is the insect also an economic choice in terms of cost? So it
So
lowers the cost.
awesome question. Awesome question. And I would love to give a shout out to our friends that are doing like cricket snacks, small giants, which have been like sort of giving us a lot of information about it. So what is interesting is that, of course, and I'll summarize as much as I can, is that cricket basically allow farmers to use way less resources. So there is like a strong economic angle. And you don't sacrifice in terms of protein content. So actually, the trade-off is very toward the advantage of using insect flour. So in terms of both sustainable production compared to traditional like animal like protein, and it's apparently it's also, don't ask me the technicalities, but it's a better kind of protein. You can people and pets, of course, can absorb it like quicker and has the same benefits. So that's it's a strong angle actually. Insect is powerful. It's definitely powerful, and we've seen a big movement, a big shift, especially when, of course, it's kind of far away from the usual images of people with insect in their mouths, when it's kind of used as flour or as a snack. I mean, the psychological barrier for human at least is almost nothing, to be honest, and that's a good angle that we feel. Well, for pet, we'll see how the pets feel about it. I don't think it's gonna be a big issue, to be honest.
Exactly. I wonder if pet food might be an initial killer application for insect flowers, just because
Actually, because of legislation, pet food was first. I mean, the use of insect flour into pet food was approved way before human consumption. So a lot of more companies started with pet food first. So people farming crickets or farming other kind of insect for consumption, they usually started with pet food. So it's definitely a big market for now. Yeah. Awesome.
Cool.
Oh, fantastic. Very interesting. All right, moving on. Let's talk about, this is a curious deal. H-Cube, a smart clothing startup, raising 180K from Archangel Adventure. So I thought it was interesting because it was a cool deal in terms of product. It's pretty much, it's an awesome product. It's basically a smart t-shirt that is tracking metrics in your body, heartbeat, effort. So you have a lot of data points, and that's probably the future of clothing in some way. So I think it also gets stress levels and a lot of different like elements. So it's the future of fashion, if you will. And the other elements was this accelerator, which I didn't know, Archangel Adventure. I was not familiar with it. Basically what they're doing, they're really building product and launching them with a venture mentality. So it's really like pre-seed and seed mostly, and it feels like it's very much hardware oriented. So a lot of AI elements, and definitely like a good way to follow the investment from really the beginning phase to I would say a first investment sort of phase. So that's cool.
I don't have much to add here. So it is a very small deal into this pre-seed startup. I find it interesting in terms of product. The idea that the patch can be removed and changed on a different shirt is, a sensible approach, probably. We'll see when it comes to markets how it goes.
Exactly. So moving on, let's talk about Ulixes Capital Partners announcing Argo III new seed fund with a goal of final closing up to 10 million euros. I thought it was good because I was looking into actually the structure of Ulixes Capital Partners. I like the fact that they're doing micro funds. So they started really small, but really precise in terms of investment thesis. So the first funds were only 250K. The other one was less than $1 million, and now they're pushing it. And first of all, good jobs on the fact of kind of moving forward, because I believe this is an investment holding. So they're structuring it not as an SGR or a classic European fund. So it's sort of a very laser focused vehicle. So I thought it was a cool way to proceed. Very, very specific, very good for the ecosystem even. It's an additional player.
Mm-hmm. And I have to add that the founders of this holding are very young. So they're almost kids that started out
really?
this place holding initially, and then they expanded by launching also an investment sidecar that became Ulixes. So the tip of the hats to these guys for achieving these results being so young. So
fantastic. So Bsamply is basically they do advisory for startups. That's the idea.
Exactly.
I see. How long have they've been active?
They've been around for a few years.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Yeah. It looks like they definitely did a bunch of excellent work. Very interesting.
If you take a look at the team, you will see how
high schoolers
they are or they look.
Oh, definitely. That's cool. That's good. Good model. Good player. Definitely something that it is needed as well for people that maybe have an idea but they're not into the startup mindset. So that's cool. And the fact that they actually have good connection also with investors and family offices in general, that's definitely like a plus for sure. So awesome. All right, Nick, let's end up the session with a very interesting thing that you mentioned, the State of Crypto report from our best friends at Andreessen Horowitz. So I thought it was very, very interesting because, of course, these articles especially feature some of the main names of Andreessen Horowitz who are working on crypto. First of all, Chris Dixon, one of the leading, I would say, minds behind all the investment strategy of Andreessen. And awesome takeaways in terms of where the market is going and how it is evolving. So this is more of a shout out for people to check it out, have a nice read, and see how actually Web3 is better in all possible sense than Web2. So that's a very interesting article.
Yeah, just to give some more flavor, they just raised a new crypto, actually two crypto funds coupled together with a total of more than $4 billion.
Unbelievable.
4 billion. And I believe of the two, the seed fund is like 1.5 billion. I said billion. They already invested a lot in Web3, so I am not surprised that in these market conditions they're publishing a report saying, hey, check out Web3 because Web3 is cool. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, totally.
But to be fair, this is probably a good moment since FI is cooling down after the recent events. This is a good moment to go back to study and checking the fundamentals, understanding what's the opportunity, what's the future around Web3. It is a good starting point.
Totally. What's here to stay, what's not here to stay. And my feel is that in the past maybe 2 years, they've been some of the major source of professional content on Web3 blockchain across the internet, I would say. They're probably one of the major research spot for someone that wants to dig into Web3 for sure. So awesome job. All right, Nick, thank you so much for the session. Great insights as always. And I'll see you and everybody next week.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you for hosting. It was a pleasure and see you in a week.